Well, my priorities are returning the focus of the Attorney General's office to its core mission, and that's prosecuting criminals and protecting Arizona families. Specifically, my first priority will be to get a handle on the budget and to find out where funds are being spent and to make sure most of the funds are used for boots on the ground, our lawyers, our paralegals, our special agents. In terms of the areas I will focus, consumer fraud, investor fraud, securities fraud, and especially in the area of senior financial exploitation. As I've traveled the state, there are communities that feel they're under siege by scam artists that are taking advantage of our seniors who physically are becoming less discerning in their ability to identify someone who's really trying to rip them off. My second priority is children. Protecting our children, and the Attorney General's office does that in many ways. First, in the advice and counsel that's given to all the state agencies that are making decisions every day about the quality of life for our children. One of the biggest sections of lawyers in the office of the Attorney General is the lawyers that represent Child Protective Services. The Department of Economic Security, Department of Education, Department of Health Services. All of those agencies get their advice and counsel from the Attorney General on what investigations to start, what investigations not to do, what cases to take to hearing, what cases to settle, and how the laws are interpreted. So we have opportunities to protect our children every day. Third, and this also relates to children, is human trafficking, sex trafficking. It was part of my platform in 2010. We have an issue that's homegrown that we need to really prosecute, not just do public relations about, but prosecute. Those are three of my top priorities. Giving sound advice to state agencies that represent that are regulating the business community is something I know a lot about. As an assistant AG, I represented the Departments of Insurance, Banking, and Real Estate, and the Board of Accountancy for about 11 of my 13 years in the Attorney General's office before I moved to the criminal division where I did white-collar fraud. And then I regulated the financial services industry when I was the head of the Department of Financial Institutions. So I know what it's like to be a lawyer or to be the regulator, having to use assistant attorney generals as my lawyer. And then thirdly, since the 2010 cycle, since 2011, I've been representing companies in front of the Attorney General's office and in front of these state agencies. So now I have the perspective of the business community, and to me it's very important that the Assistant Attorney Generals understand fundamental fairness and not just due process in their investigations of small business, but the fundamental fairness. Those are, I would say, my priorities.